Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. This is your host, Jim Harshaw, and today I'm bringing you a solo episode. I love bringing you these solo episodes because I get to talk directly to you, the listener, and I love those. I love the interviews I get to do, but sometimes I like just talking directly to you. And I bring these episodes to you because I know life is a grind. Life is hard, and life is awesome at the same time. And we have a place that we want to get to in life, and I just want to be along with you on that journey. Be along with you for the ride and encourage you along the way, and also bring you some inspiring stories, give you some powerful tips, tactics, tools, and ways to just enjoy your life more now where you're at, and also help you get to where you want to go. And I had a conversation yesterday with a client who he was well into the Reveal Your Path experience. And Reveal Your Path, for those of you who haven't heard of it before or haven't been long-time listeners, Reveal Your Path is my coaching program. And he was well into this Reveal Your Path experience, and we got to a point where I realized that his core values, he had identified his core values, which is the first step. But they weren't quite right, so we went back and had him kind of go through that exercise again and revise that and update that and really go deeper. And that's sometimes just what it takes, is kind of going through it once and then coming back and circling back around and doing it again. And so that's what he did. And I wait a lot of times for inspiration to hit me to record these episodes. And this is one of those moments, because he had this huge breakthrough yesterday where he realized that these core values are guiding principles in his life and something that he can do and use and carry forward in his life. And it's like a way to live, right? Because a lot of people are looking for this framework, this structure, this pathway, these guidelines to live their life by, because life is messy. And we're pulled in a million different directions. We're bombarded by messages. We're bombarded by media. We're bombarded by, people pulling on us, family pulling on us, friends, work. We want to work out more. We want to spend more time with our families. We want to go on that awesome vacation. We want to save more money. We want to make more money. We've got all these things pulling at us. I was like, wait a second. Where do I start? What is the starting point for me? What is my baseline? What is the foundation of my life? And how do I use that foundation to start from and to make decisions from? Decisions from what am I going to have for lunch today, to decisions like what's my next career move, decisions like, how do I make a change in this relationship? Major decisions, from the big ones to the little ones and everything in between. And that's what this is. Actually, this individual is in the process of making a career change. And I remember working with another guy years ago when Reveal Your Path, and it was one of the first clients I'd ever worked with. And we talked about his career change, and this first exercise, this very first exercise that we go through is the core value discovery exercise. And it's an amazing exercise. And we all hear about core values, and everybody talks about core values. You got to know your values. You got to know your core values. You got to have them posted on your wall, blah, 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 right? What is this about core values that everybody's talking about, right? It's kind of overused, and it's one of those things that you kind of it kind of starts going in one ear, out the other. But I want to take this episode to make this a concrete thing for you, a real thing for you, and to help you understand not only the value of knowing your core values, but also how to actually go about figuring out what they are, right? And because you're going to have a lot of values, a lot of things that you value, but when you identify the core values, the few important values, then you can use those to help you make decisions, to know if you got to turn right, left, or go straight in your life. And when you figure that out, it's just it gives you a level of clarity and purpose and meaning in everything that you do that you haven't had ever before. And so this client that I worked with yesterday, he came back with his new core values, updated, I should say, core values. And I always encourage my clients to, after we discover the core values, we go back and we try to find a way to memorize them, a way to make it easily memorable, like an acronym or some kind of mnemonic that makes them memorable. So you can call them up at a moment's notice so they live inside of you, live inside of your brain, and you just use these as an operating system. And mine are faith, family, fit, and fun. Faith, family, fit, and fun. And when I live by these, I know what these words mean to me, right? They may be a little bit generic, faith and family and fit. It means fitness, but also fit an occupation that fits my interests. And then fun, right? Fun means, I know what that means to me. That means like adventure and doing things outdoors, etc. So doing things with my family even. And so that's fun, right? To me. So, but fun to you means something totally different. That might be going golfing on the weekends or whatever the case might be. Your fun is different than my fun. But these words mean something to me. This is what my client discovered yesterday. He used an acronym HEART, HEART. And it was so cool because he revealed these to me word by word, and I wrote them down. And I kept trying to guess if he had actually gone through this and made this an acronym. And he started out with H. H was for health. I said, that's awesome. And he kind of explained to me what that means to him. The second one is environment, right? And he explained again what that means to him. And that means something, for him, that means something maybe different than it means for you. But for him, it was like surrounding himself with the right people, etc. A was for attitude. And, they're talking about mindset, etc. The next one was responsibility. And that means whatever it means to him, right? Responsibility, taking responsibility for himself, accountability, etc. And he got HEAR. I'm like, I wonder what the next letter is going to be. Is it going to be here? Is that going to be it? Is it going to be heart? I don't even know what else would be, what other words would come out of that. But the next one was T, of course. So truth, and that was truth for him. And so anyway, heart. He can remember that word, heart. And that means something to him. That means his core values. And now he was inspired, and this was like this awesome experience that he got to share these and go through these. And what I explained to him was this. You're going to have times where you're going to wake up in the morning and you're just not going to feel it. You're not going to feel your core values. They're not going to be like pumping through your veins because you're not looking forward to today at work, or you had a bad day yesterday, or a bad night's sleep, or you're sick, or whatever the case might be. But you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is lean back on this operating system of your core values, because you can do that because you know that you sat down, you spent time and invested time, and in his case, money, to actually figure out what these core values are. And when you do that, you don't have to go back and go, is that really, is health really important to me? Is environment, why did I say environment? You've done the work to figure this out. Now, you just have these in the back pocket for the rest of your life. Now, are these going to change, adapt, evolve? Absolutely. This individual, he's not married, no kids. He's got a long-time girlfriend, but they're going to evolve. These things are going to change, as he gets married, as he has kids, as the kids get older, etc. These things are going to evolve. Maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, but they change, they adapt, they evolve with you. I want to share another acronym. Another one of my clients used with me, or used for his core values, was FIGHT, F-I-G-H-T. It was family, integrity, gratitude. I think it was health, and then maybe trust was the T. I can't remember exactly what the T was for him, but F-I-G-H-T. Another one had F-I-R-E. It was like family, integrity, and then I forget what R and E were. But like, these are words that are meaningful to them. The one guy who had FIGHT, he actually has these. He printed it out, framed them, posted them on his wall in his office. So when he sits at his desk, he looks straight ahead, and those are his core values. They're posted right in front of him. These are an operating system. These are a mode of operation. These are a framework for living your life the way that you want to live your life. You feel out of balance? It's because you're out of balance with one of your core values or multiple core values. These are words to live by. And like I said, you're bombarded with all these messages, right? You're supposed to want, that life that you see people posting about on Facebook, right? The highlights of their life. You're supposed to like want that, right? You're like, that's the sort of intent of Facebook, is like to keep getting you sucked in and wanting to post your highlights, etc. And we're supposed to want the car that we see parked in our neighbor's driveway, the car that we see on television. We get all these media images bombarding us, right? And it's like, wait a second. Don't chase after what other people are chasing after. Chase after what's important to you. And once you do the core values work, then you can link these to your goals. Your goals should align with your core values. Nobody else's. What's important to you is what your core values should be aligned with. And if you have goals in your life that don't align with your core values, guess what? They shouldn't be goals. Period. If it's something that's important to you, then that's a core value. And I did have one client say to me one time, he said, Jim, some of these actually feel like aspirations. These aren't really core values that I live by. I said, that's okay. Because here's the thing, people always think that core values have to be things that you do, that you already are, that you're already living by. And that's not the case. That's wrong. You can be obese and unfit and have health and fitness as a core value, right? As something you aspire to. You may value that. You may not live it out, but you want to live it out. That can be a core value. And the idea is now you create goals around that. And when your goals are actually attached to core values, to actual words that you did work, sat down, spent time, spent energy, spent money on a coach if you did, and you did that work, then you have the right goals. Once you tie that core value of health or fitness to a goal, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to run a marathon, whatever case might be, then that goal becomes meaningful. And you're not just going to let go. You're not just going to drop it at the first sign of adversity because it's meaningful. So I hope that helps in terms of understanding the importance of core values. Now let's talk a little bit about how. How do you determine your core values? I'm just going to give you 3 powerful tips here for figuring out what your core values are. The first one is this, the funeral question. I didn't invent this. I don't know who did, but it's a great question. What do you want people to say at your funeral? Think about what they'd say now. Think about what you would want them to say. Is there anything different between what your best friend would say about you if you died today? Is there anything different between what they would say today versus what you would want them to say? There's a core value hidden in there that's driving that. Think about your closest family member. What would they say? What would you want them to say? There's a core value driving what you would want them to say. What would your mentor or coach, what would you want them to say? What would they say? Again, what you want them to say is driven by a core value. Go through all the important people in your life and figure out, what is it that I would want them to say? That want is driven by some value. Now, it may be the same for everybody. You may identify 3, 4, 5 different core values there. Or I should say, you may identify 3 or 4 or 5 values there. Write them all down, every word that comes to mind. Another one is, what if you doubled your income? What if you doubled your income? What if you made twice as much money? What would you do with that money? What would you do? What you would do with that money is determined by what you value. Would you get a nose job? Maybe you value appearance or aesthetics or how you look, right? Would you buy your parents a new home or a new car? Maybe that tells me you value family or providing or thanking or being grateful, right? These decisions that you make are driven by your values. Would you stock up your kids' 529 plan, their college fund, right? That tells me something. That tells me maybe you have a core value of education or family, right? So I'd go through all the decisions that you'd make, how you'd spend. What would you do if you doubled your income? Here's the third one. What does your ideal day look like? Your ideal typical day, I should say. Not sipping Mai Tais on the beach on vacation, but your ideal typical day. You got to go to work. You got to be a productive member of society, etc. What does that look like? Is there time for working out? Is there time for family? Is there time for a certain hobby that you love to do that you would spend your time on? That would tell me some things that you value, right? So when you go through this, you write down all the values that you determine here, all the values that you discover. And the trick now is seeing which ones come up more often, which ones are most common. And now you start to identify your core values. And what you do is you list all these out, you group them, and now you can work to find start identifying what are my core values. What are the ones that are most important, that are most common, that keep showing up in my life, and they keep showing up in this little exercise that I gave you, writing down the funeral question, the double your income question, and the ideal day. What keeps coming up there? Now you know what your core values are. You might have written down 20 values. What are the top 3 or 5 or 7 or 8, whatever that number is for you? What are the core values that are most important? Not important, because you might have 100 ones that are quote unquote important, but what's most important? What are your core values? When you determine those, now you have your framework. And from there, pull out the old thesaurus, go to thesaurus.com and start finding words that match even better for what those core values are that you determined. And this is how you start putting your acronym together or your mnemonic together, so you memorize these somehow. This is how my client yesterday came up with HEART or FIGHT or FIRE, or for me, FFFF, all F words. Faith, family, fit, fun. It's actually 5 in there, with fit meaning fitness and fit, job that fits for me. And figure out what those are for you. And once you get those, it brings you a level of just foundational clarity. Words that you can live by on good days and on bad days and on everything in between, in your relationships, in your health, in your work, your professional development, your personal development, your personal growth. All these things should be aligned with what you value. And if you want a list of words, of value words to kind of help you, to kind of guide you, kind of direct you through this, I'm going to include in the action plan a list of core value words for you. So go to jimharshawjr.com/action, ACTION, jimharshawjr.com/action. Get your copy of the action plan from this episode, and then you'll find about 200 words on there, and you can identify what different core value words kind of really click for you. And by the way, if you do that, you're also going to get access to every single action plan. 150 or so action plans or more are in there, depending on when you listen to this, from all of my episodes. Think about all the amazing people that I've had on here, astronauts and professional athletes and New York Times bestselling authors and billionaires and on and on and on. I've taken their best stuff from every episode, put it into the action plan, so you get access to every single one of them. And there's, I asked just about every one of my guests, to give me an action item for the next 24 to 48 hours. Like, there's action items in all these action plans. So check those out. And everything I just talked about here is going to be summarized in this action plan. So make sure you grab your copy of the action plan. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/action. If you know somebody who you think would like this episode, give it a share. Go to jimharshawjr.com/share. And you can share it on Facebook. You can share it on Twitter. You can share it on LinkedIn. There's a simple one-click button, and it's actually a pre-populated post. You can edit it if you want. If not, you can just hit submit, and you will you'll share that with your social media network, which would be awesome. That will get a huge thank you from me. Or you can just direct somebody to this episode specifically and tell them just go to jimharshawjr.com/167. That's 167 for episode 167. So check it out, share it, please. And if you haven't left me a review on iTunes, I would love to get your review and rating on iTunes. That definitely helps more people find the Success Through Failure podcast. Thank you for listening. And as always, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.